Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is great to have you with us. Today, I want to start with a concept that, well, it rules our lives. Whether we're looking at stock market trends, election polling, or, like today, panicking about sports, it's the sample size.
Ah, yes. The data analyst's favorite shield against reality.
Exactly. It's the ultimate defense mechanism. You know how it goes. The season starts, your team loses a few bad games, and everyone says, relax. It's early.
It's a small sample size, the data is noisy.
Right. Usually that's smart, but here's where it gets really interesting. We are past that point. We're at the midway point of the NBA season.
50% of the way through.
And for one team in particular, the Milwaukee Bucks, that its early excuse, it has completely run out of steam.
It's evaporated. I mean, in data terms, the signal has finally separated from the noise. We aren't looking at what ifs anymore. We are looking at cold, hard reality. And for Milwaukee, that reality is undeniably bleak.
Bleak is a strong word, but looking at our sources today, it feels right. We are doing a deep dive into the crisis in Milwaukee and the massive question mark hanging over their superstar, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
And we should be clear, for everyone listening, this isn't just about basketball. Not really. This is about leverage and market paralysis.
That's exactly why I wanted to cover this. We're looking at a discussion from ESPN's NBA Countdown. It features Brian Windhorst, Kendrick Perkins-Perk, and Coach. And the takeaway is so much bigger than just sports.
Right. The mission here is to understand a phenomenon I'd call the super asset freeze. We're going to see how one asset, in this case Giannis, is so valuable that his team struggles are like freezing the entire NBA's economy.
It's like a huge domino that refuses to fall, so everyone else is just standing there, afraid to move.
That is the perfect way to visualize it. I mean, the fortunes of 29 other franchises are being held hostage by what happens in Milwaukee.
So let's set the scene. The Milwaukee Bucks. On paper, they were a championship contender. They have Giannis, a two-time MVP. They have Damian Lillard. But where are they actually sitting right now?
They are sitting in 11th place in the Eastern Conference.
11th. So if the playoffs started today, they wouldn't even make the play-in tournament.
Nope. They would be booking flights to Cancun. And the source makes a really painful comparison here, just to give you context. They point out that the Bucks are currently looking up at the Atlanta Hawks in the standings.
Wow, that's sobering. I mean, no offense to Atlanta, but Milwaukee's supposed to be a titan.
And that really sets the tone for everything we're about to discuss. When you have a top 3 player in the world, in his prime, sitting in 11th place, that isn't just a slump, it's a systemic failure. It's an emergency.
Okay, let's dig into the systemic part of that, because usually when a good team struggles, you can point to one thing, right?
Yeah, you can say, oh, their defense is great, but they can't shoot.
Or the opposite. But what do the numbers say about the Bucks?
This is the part that it jumps off the page. You expect them to hang their hat on something. But the source highlights that the Bucks rank 20th in offensive efficiency.
Right.
And 20th in defensive efficiency.
20th and 20th. That is the definition of mediocrity.
It's actually worse. It's just nothing. And that leads to the most damning criticism from the source. They say explicitly, I'm not really sure what their identity is at this point.
And identity matters. If you don't know who you are, how can you fix anything?
Precisely. If you're a defensive juggernaut that can't score, you go get a shooter. If you're an offensive powerhouse that can't defend, you get a rim protector. But if you're 20th at everything, you're just existing.
And that creates a toxic environment.
Exactly.
Speaking of toxic environments, let's talk about the vibe check. Because the human element is usually the leading indicator, there was a specific detail in the source about Giannis and the home crowd.
Yeah, this was startling. The report mentioned an incident a few nights ago where Giannis was getting into it with the fans. The phrasing used was that he was booing his home crowd.
Wait, hold on. He was booing the fans? Or was he, mocking them for booing him?
It's a little ambiguous, but the implication is clearly fiction. The crowd was booing the T's performance, and Giannis was reacting negatively. Either way, the source highlighted it as a sign of this deep, deep disconnect.
That is just so rare. I mean, Giannis built that city, metaphorically speaking. For him to be clashing with the people who worship him.
It tells you the misery of the performance is getting to him personally. The source calls them miserable performances. It's a vicious cycle. They lose, the crowd turns, the star gets frustrated, they play even worse. You combine all of that, and you have a recipe for something drastic.
Which brings us to the central question from Brian Windhorst. He just laid it out there. He asked, are the Bucks really going to stand for this? And is Giannis really going to stand for this?
A multi-million-dollar question.
But this is the pivot. And for you listening, this is the aha moment about leverage. How does a team in 11th place stop other teams from making moves?
This is that fascinating economic ripple effect. We're, 2 weeks from the trade deadline? The market should be liquid. GM should be on the phone.
Yeah, this is usually the busiest time of the year.
But Windhorst reveals that deals across the NBA are currently on hold. The entire trade progression has just stalled. And the reason is Giannis.
Walk me through that. If I'm the GM of, I don't know, the Oklahoma City Thunder, why do I care if Milwaukee is losing?
Because you are hoarding your assets for the big one.
Oh.
Look, as a GM, you have your currency, your draft picks, your young players. You could spend that currency today on a B-list star, someone who makes you maybe 10% better.
Okay, that sounds reasonable.
But if there's even a 1% chance that a generational superstar like Giannis Antetokounmpo hits the market next week, you cannot afford to be empty-handed. You don't want to be the guy who spent all his money on a new kitchen right before the mansion next door went up for auction.
Right, so you don't buy the nice house down the street because the castle on the hill might go into foreclosure.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And the source says this explicitly. Other executives are looking at Milwaukee, and they are not 100% convinced that Giannis will be on the Bucks for the rest of the year.
Even though he said he's staying, even though he signed the extension.
Words are wind. The executives are skeptical because of this slide. The source says these last few games have made teams stutter in their decision-making.
Stutter, I like that. It implies a hesitation right at the trigger.
It's a massive hesitation. Everyone is playing a game of chicken, just waiting to see who blinks in Milwaukee. And until that's answered, the entire trade market is frozen.
That's incredible. One guy's unhappiness can freeze the liquidity of a multi-billion-dollar industry.
That's the power of a true superstar. There are only, 3 or 4 guys on the planet with that kind of gravity?
Now, despite what the league thinks, let's look inside the building. We've got Kendrick Perkins, Perk, on this panel, and Perk operates differently. He's a former player.
He is. He cuts through the red tape.
There's this moment where he literally pulls out his phone on air. He doesn't call a source. He doesn't call an agent. He texts Doc Rivers, the Bucks head coach, directly. Just asks him, is Giannis getting traded or not?
That's the benefit of having those guys in media. A reporter gets a no comment. Perk gets a reply.
So what was the reply?
Doc's response was flat, unequivocal. No, he's not getting traded.
Okay, so we have a contradiction. The coach says no, the player says no, the market says maybe. But if they aren't selling Giannis and they're in 11th, they can't just stand pat, right?
No, impossible. If you aren't rebuilding, you have to be reloading. The source confirms the Bucks are known for being aggressive at every deadline.
And the report says they're making outgoing calls, so they are trying to buy.
They're actively looking. They know the roster's broken. They're trying to find a patch.
Perk actually threw out a specific name, and I want to get your take on this. He suggested Michael Porter Jr.
MPJ. That's a big swing.
Perk called him a bona fide second option. Why that guy specifically?
Well, think about how Giannis plays. He attacks the rim. He's a battering ram. He needs space. MPJ is 6'10", and he is one of the best pure shooters in the league. He creates gravity. So the defense has to choose. Do we stop the drive, or do you leave the 40% shooter open?
It makes sense on the court, but there's a funny little detail about this in the source. When Perk was hyping him up, he said, the man is over there killing in Brooklyn right now.
I caught that too.
Now, for anyone who doesn't watch every game, Michael Porter Jr. plays for the Denver Nuggets. The defending champs. He definitely does not play for Brooklyn.
No, he certainly does not.
So is this just Perk slipping up? Or, does he know something we don't?
It's likely just a slip of the tongue. Maybe he watched MPJ light up the nets recently and got his wires crossed. But the point stands, regardless of the geography. Perk views MPJ or that type of player as what Milwaukee desperately needs.
So they're making calls, they're hunting. But we all know sometimes you can't trade your way out of a slump. Sometimes it's chemistry.
Chemistry is huge. And there's this really unique, almost bizarre situation coming up in the Bucks schedule that the source pointed out.
What is it?
So after a game in San Antonio, the Bucks have a 3-day gap, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, no games. And they're spending those 3 days off in Atlanta before their next game.
3 days off in a row in the same city, mid-season. That's like a vacation.
It's a mini camp, essentially. But it's Atlanta, and the source calls it an opportunity for late-night chemistry.
Late-night chemistry in Atlanta. That sounds a little euphemistic.
You can read between the lines. But in a team context, it means team dinners, hanging out, clearing the air, It's a chance to remember you actually like each other.
But here's the catch. The rest of the league is watching this 3-day window like a hawk.
They are. The source says teams are watching very closely to see how the Bucks perform in that first game back.
Monday night.
Monday night, it becomes a litmus test.
So if they come out on Monday looking refreshed and connected, maybe the trade panic dies down.
Exactly. It signals that the vibes are fixed, that the late-night chemistry worked.
Look, if they come out flat, if they look just as disjointed after 3 days of bonding.
Then the narrative spins completely out of control.
Yeah.
It validates the idea that the locker room is just lost. If you can't even play hard for each other after a trip like that, and the Sharks start circling again.
It's amazing. A random Monday night game in January becomes a referendum on the franchise's entire future.
It really does. High drama.
So let's look at the end game. Let's say the trip doesn't work, the trades don't happen. We have Bobby Marks, another insider, weighing in on how a superstar actually leaves. Because Giannis has this brand, right? He's the loyalty guy.
That's his whole ethos.
Yeah.
He stayed in Milwaukee. He won the hard way. He values that identity.
So Bobby Marks argues Giannis is likely never going to ask for a trade publicly. He's not going to pull a James Harden.
Probably not. It's against his DNA.
Yeah.
But that actually puts the franchise in a much tougher position.
Yeah.
Because if the player won't play the bad guy, but the team isn't good enough, the responsibility shifts to the front office to be the villain.
You mean they have to be the ones to initiate it?
Exactly. They have to have those honest conversations behind closed doors. You have to look at your franchise icon and say, Giannis, we love you, but we can't win with this group. We have to send you somewhere else.
Man, that is tough, especially when, as the source notes, the franchise has done anything and everything to put players around him.
Right. It's not a lack of effort. They traded for Jrue Holiday. They traded for Dame. They spent the money. But if the result is 11th place, effort doesn't matter. Only results do.
It's kind of tragic. You try everything and still end up average.
And that creates paralysis. Do you keep trying to patch a sinking ship because you love the captain? Or do you put the captain on a lifeboat and sink the ship yourself?
Brutal analogy, but it fits the business reality.
It's the cold math of the NBA.
So let's recap where we are. The Milwaukee Bucks are at a crossroads. 11th place, statistically average to bad, and their superstar is visibly frustrated.
Right. And while the team says he's staying and the coach says no trade, the rest of the league is voting with their inaction. They're pausing their own business because they smell blood in the water.
And for you, the listener, the takeaway here is really about reading the market, whether it's sports, finance, whatever.
Absolutely. If you want to know what's really happening, don't just listen to the press conferences. Don't just listen to what the CEO says. Watch what the competitors do.
Actions speak louder than words.
The fact that 29 other teams are pausing their trades tells you everything about what they think is possible. They are betting on chaos.
And here's a final provocative thought to leave you with. We know the Bucks are aggressive, they're making calls, they need a bona fide second option, but let's say they can't get a deal done. And that Monday game after the Atlanta trip, they get blown out. If they can't land help and the chemistry experiment fails, does the front office have an obligation to become the bad guy?
It raises that uncomfortable question. Can you be too loyal? If Giannis is too loyal to ask out, is the kindest thing the front office can actually do to trade him against his public wishes just to save his career from wasting away?
That's a heavy thought. Sometimes the hardest breakups are the ones where nobody wants to leave, but everyone knows it's over.
Precisely. And the next few weeks will tell us if Milwaukee is ready to face that truth.
Thanks for taking the deep dive with us. We'll be watching that transaction wire closely.
Until next time.